All right, everyone. I think we can get started with today's webinar. I'm glad to have you all here. I am Margot from Uku, and we also have Gemma from FreeAgent here. I will first show you around Uku a bit, show you a few use cases that you should expect from a practice management software that they could help you with. And then Gemma will also show you some cool opportunities, possibilities in the FreeAgent software. And yeah, today we want to show you how you can make sure that you actually bill for the work that you're doing, how you can use the software to make your work days more efficient, to less of manual work, to more automations, and also have less administrative work to do. First up, welcome to Uku. So this is Uku's dashboard. And to make sure that you are billing for all of the work that you're actually doing, we do recommend that you do some tracking. But when we're talking about tracking your work, it doesn't necessarily have to be time tracking. It doesn't necessarily have to be about writing down how much time you have spent on different things. So what you can do is that you can also track your work by quantity, for example. So you can start tracking how many pay slips you're processing, how many invoices you're processing. If you want to, you can track any other drivers also, the numbers of joiners or leavers if you're doing pay calculations. And in Uku, you can create all these drivers yourself. So you can decide what drivers you want to actually track, what do you want to mark down. So you can build your own processes. You can also work with custom prices if there are some custom services that you're offering. But you can also track time. So if you are into time tracking, just track time in the system. You can create bulk time entries. If you don't want to track time on the go, or if you forgot to track time, then you can always create bulk entries to several tasks at once. And you can also easily navigate back to previous tasks, or you can also easily start new tasks. For example, if you have some interruptions coming up throughout the day, if somebody gives you a phone call, then you can immediately do that from here, from the magic buttons. All right. Now that you are tracking the work that you are actually doing, you would also like to get some overview of that. So the idea would be that in the monitoring report, for example, you could get an overview of all the values that you have been tracking compared to the agreements that you have made with your clients. So if you have said that you want to track the number of invoices that you're processing, then you can send that value to the monitoring report. Or if you want to add additional drivers that you have created, you can add those to the monitoring report also. You can also compare the time that you thought that you will spend on working with some client versus the time that you have actually tracked. Plus, you can separate extra work from standard work. So let's see, for example, if I have a task here, I can mark that as extra work, and then I could charge separately for that, which makes it very easy to track the scope creep and unexpected changes to the work plan that you have.
I love those features so much. Sorry, I just think it's so important. And it's so easy to lose track of how much work you're doing as an accountant. And it's also so easy for clients not to understand how much work you're doing. So just to have it there really clearly is always going to be super helpful.
Oh, thank you, Gemma. Yes, these are actually features that our users do love, especially the extra work and then the magic buttons where you can easily navigate to different tasks. It makes it so much easier. Plus, while you're already tracking time, you can mark those time entries as billable or non-billable. So if you want to, you can mark a full task, or you can say that the task is billable and then just edit by time entry. So this makes it also very easy already in the beginning to make sure that you have entered the time correctly, which makes the billing easier later also. What you can also do is that you can create a report for yourself if you want to create a custom report to take a look at some drivers that you're interested in. Again, you can decide which drivers you want to see here, and you can build a report for yourself with that information. All right. What's also very important is that you can already set all of this up in the client task plan. So in the client task plan, where you are defining the recurring tasks or the standard tasks or project tasks that you need to work on, you can already here define all those custom fields or drivers that you want your employees to fill out. So you can add these tasks already here. And now this is a task template, which means that based on this, we will generate actual tasks for your employees to work with. And then they will immediately always see these fields here and they can immediately fill them out. So they don't have to remember to fill them out. They will just see them on the task every single time. Plus, you can add a note to them to fill out the custom fields to make sure that they don't forget to do that, even if they're here. All right. But when talking about automations, now this is just the tracking part. But when we're talking about automations, we also can automate communication for you. So in Uku, what you can set up in the task plan, in addition to those drivers that you want to measure, you can also set up automated communication. And there are two ways to go about that. One way would be to say that every single time that this task is generated, it's also shared to the client portal, which would mean that your client contact would get an email saying that you have this task assigned to you, please go do it. And now this task can be exactly the case of missing documents when you list them some documents that they need to upload for you. You don't have to automatically assign it to the client portal every single time, but you can. You might want to check the list before. So you can assign these tasks to your clients, and you don't have to send them any emails then reminding them to actually submit those documents for you. So this is another nice way to automate that monthly activity. So you don't have to nag your clients about submitting any information. You can just have Uku do that for you. Or you can set up an email automation. So if you don't want to use the client portal, you can just set up an email automation where you are requesting those missing documents. You can define the client role who gets this email, and then you can decide when this email needs to go out. Perhaps it needs to go out right away when the task is generated. In some cases, you want the email not to go out before you have checked the content. So you can limit it to be sent out when the task is marked done by you, or when it's the due date of the task. So you have different ways to set up the automation to make sure that you have as much control as you need to. So all these things you can set up in the task plan. And of course, there's a lot more, but let's stick to some most used use cases today. And now when you have set up the communication on the task plans, the idea with automating the communication is not only to get rid of those recurring emails that you need to send out, it's also to pull in the communication related to the work that you need to do. So under a task, you will be able to see all the comments that have been left on this, regardless if they were in the client portal, by the client, or by your team members. You will see all the emails that have been sent out, and you will also see all the replies that were sent to the emails that you sent out from Uku. So we can pull back the replies that your clients have written to the emails via their email. So this gives you the opportunity to see the full history related to this piece of work in one place. So all you have to do is do this task, mark it done, and you can make sure that it's billed properly. Now, before I move on to billing, there are a few more things I want to note around communication that Uku can help you with. Is that what you can do in Uku is that you can also forward in emails from your inbox, and we will turn them into tasks on your dashboard. So if a random customer request comes in, you can just forward that to Uku and immediately start tracking time for it. So again, scope creep, or there's always this amount of communication that you have with clients, and with some clients you have a little bit of communication. With some clients you have a lot of communication, and you probably have a gut feeling about how much communication different clients need, but you don't have the facts unless you measure it. So you can easily forward everything to Uku that you actually want to track, and then you can start tracking it here. Plus, if you send your emails to Uku, we turn them into tasks. You can just reassign them to your colleagues if it's something that they need to work on. Or some of our clients have set up a support team or an operations team dashboard where a team of people, and I have an operations team here, where a team of people has access to the same list of tasks. Each one of them can say that I will take this. So the task is assigned to that person, and then that person can work on this. So you can also have shared dashboards for those support cases where just one inbox might be the recipient inbox, but actually several people need to work on those items behind that. So this is another way, again, to make sure that you have all the work in one place, and you can actually keep track of what you're doing for your clients. In the reporting feature, we talked about building your custom report with those drivers that you want to track. But Uku's report's main feature, of course, is to give you an easy overview of, let's say, last month's or this month's or this week's a period's workload that you have done or your team members have done. You can see that group by clients, how much work you have done for different clients, how many tasks, where have had you spikes in the workload, because you can also take a look at longer periods. So you can also take a look at custom periods if you want to take a look at different workloads throughout the quarter, for example. You can track easily how many billable and non-billable hours do you have. So if those non-billable hours start to stack up, you can just easily filter them out and see what's going on there. And you can also keep track of overdue tasks and done tasks. So actually tracking overdue tasks might be a use case that you want to take a look at every week. So you can build a custom report for yourself to keep track of this week's overdue tasks. So you can see where is your team falling behind, and you can support the team members. Also, if you know that perhaps this one person has fallen ill, so that's the reason why they're falling behind and some items are not being done on time, you can jump to the calendar feature. And you can actually take a look at that person's calendar. Let's see if there's anything planned for her. And we know that she's ill today, she might be ill tomorrow also. So we can drag and drop these things around if there are things that we can just postpone to the future. Or if we need to, we can also reassign some items to other people. So again, it's very easy to reassign work when somebody needs assistance. Plus, one more cool thing I want to show you in the reports is that you can also build your custom reports to keep track of specific type of work. So for example, my audit projects, where do I have throughout the year, where do I have a high load of audit projects? Which of these audits that I have already completed, that my team has completed, which of these have already been approved by the client? How much time have they taken us? There's still something overdue. Luckily, there are no non-billable hours. So you can get all this information very quickly just from this overview. And then when you need to, you can jump into details, take a look at the specific tasks that are in progress, take a look at the specific time entries. And as a single person, as an individual, each evening, you can take a look at the time that you have tracked today. see where there are overlapping time entries, for example. Are there any missing time entries? Uku will offer you some options to cut time entries where they are overlapping, or to prolong some time entries if you're missing time entries. So I know time tracking is a topic where some people feel like, I don't want to get into that, it's too much hassle, but we have made it really as easy as possible to get a good overview if I have submitted the information that I might want to track again in the future or see in the future. All right, but now let's go to the most important part also. We have been doing work for our clients. We have the communication in the system, we have tracked the time or whatever drivers. Now we also want to bill that work that we have done. So you can set up automated billing in Uku for all or some of your clients. So you can set up a contract. Let me just close this part here. You can set up one or several contract templates for your clients. And now this is depending on how you want to group your services. You might have your yearly services, you might have your monthly services. So you can create several contracts. Plus, you can also actually tell Uku to combine one invoice for all the contract templates if it's in the same time period. So you might want to separate them, you might want to keep them together, you might want to send out one invoice or several. You have all these opportunities. Also, if you want to, you can just build a parent company. All these things are possible. And you can group different type of services to one contract. So you might have your fixed price services, you might have your total hours, or maybe those extra hour services where you want to charge extra for that work that you didn't see coming. You can also have your quantity-based services. So you can combine all of these to one contract template. And based on this contract template, Uku is going to start generating invoices for you already while the period is still in progress. So we're currently still in January, and we already have the draft invoices for January here. And Uku recalculates these values, of course, every night, and every single time that you open the invoice, then Uku will refresh the values. So at any given time, you can get a good overview of how much work you have actually already done for this client. And if you have added some extra costs for this client on some task, you can immediately check if you have properly tracked them. They will show up directly here on the invoice. So at any given time, you can make sure that your invoices are to consist of all the costs that you have made and to have all the services on them. So the idea really would be that at the end of each month, all you would have to do is that you would have to find those invoices that are waiting for your approval. You could just bulk create these. Say, if I say create, then basically these invoices are approved. And then as a next step, I could just send out all those invoices that I have created. So that's the ideal flow. So when it comes to Uku, what we do want to offer you, and what I do actually want to suggest that you expect from all practice management software, is that you want to have a place where you can set up your workflow once, where you can set up all the automations once. Then you should have a good overview of the work that's in progress, that people are doing. If something is falling behind, make it easy for them to track those important drivers, and then pull those values automatically to invoices. So this is the full flow that you should definitely expect, and that I do recommend that you strive to achieve, because it just makes life for your accountants and bookkeepers that much easier. All right. I think we have run through some good use cases when it comes to Uku. I think I'm going to hand over, Gemma, to you, so that we could switch to FreeAgent also and see what awesome features you have there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lovely thing about Uku is it's such a feature-rich product, and FreeAgent is also a feature-rich product, but they work really well kind of hand in hand, I would say. So let me just where's my, here we go. So hopefully you can all see my screen, which got this lovely green banner at the top. Can you see that, Margot? Good. Great. So, yeah, we're thinking about today kind of how to make sure that you're getting kind of paid for the work you do and making sure that you are finding kind of hidden revenue in your practice. And when we say hidden revenue, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're finding new ways to charge your clients or you're finding new services. It's all stuff that you're already doing that you can just bring awareness to, I would say. So when we're in FreeAgent, to give you a bit of an overview, before I begin, FreeAgent is a bookkeeping software. We've been typically great for those kind of really small clients, those micro entities, but we're actually, because we have so many new features and because we're building really consistently, we're actually now becoming a much better fit for still the smaller end of the market, but more small to medium, and when we used to be kind of micro. We are owned by NatWest, which means that everyone banking with NatWest gets a completely free FreeAgent license, which is lovely. And it doesn't have to be your only bank. So for example, NatWest have a challenger bank called Metal here in the UK. And if you sign up for Metal, then I believe that's free, or it's maybe got paid add-ons, which you would then get FreeAgent for free as well. But you can still bank with Santander, whoever it is that you want to bank with. So just love to point that out because it is a really nice feature of ours, especially when we're thinking about those price sensitive clients. It's a really good option for them. So this is FreeAgent's practice dashboard, and we know that we're in that because we've got this lovely green banner at the top. It's probably relatively similar to some other bookkeeping softwares that you've seen, and that's good. You don't want to have to go into a new system and find it complicated every time. And I'm just going to bring attention to some of the points that we've got here. So Margot showed us, logged myself out. Let's try again. Margot showed us how it looks to kind of automatically send those emails and set up those workflows. And it's so funny because we had a question about this yesterday. So we can see in our alerts that a practice has been using the alerts to tell them when VAT registered clients have got a certain number of unexplained bank transactions. And they wanted to be able to go into that information and then easily set up some sort of flow to be able to email them for it. Now, that's not something you can do directly within FreeAgent. We really believe in keeping the bookkeeping software for the bookkeeping, and we champion having a practice management software where you manage your clients. And that's where an integration becomes really important because you want to have one source of truth for all that information. So that's what you've got here. So while yes, in some ways it'd be lovely to just go in and find their details and email them straight from here, doesn't really make sense in terms of workflow. And it's really important that as a practice, you have everyone on the same page. So use bookkeeping for bookkeeping, practice management for practice management. And it's my view that you should have practice management software from day one of your practice, because I just think it's so important to start off on that right foot. So if you're someone new to practice, then I would encourage you to ensure you've got that practice management from day one, and then add in your bookkeeping software depending on what is best fit for your client.
I definitely agree with you, Gemma. Thank you for making that point. Let's have a software for the right purpose. So accounting for accounting, practice management, and there are a lot of other software to use also. Actually, I did forget to mention out that you can pull in your customers from FreeAgent to Ugo. So just exactly as Gemma said, you want to have one source of truth. So you can update your client information always in FreeAgent and just pull the update to Ugo. So yeah, that's very easy to do.
Exactly. And it's like you say, Margot, like it's one thing to try and get buy-in from your clients to use a bookkeeping software. And it's another thing to have to get anyone else in your practice to get buy-in for the practice management software. So I think it's really important that you keep those separate. You can go for a practice management software that suits your needs and that really best fits your ways of working. And you can offer out bookkeeping software that works best for your clients, because it's not one size fits all there, and it's the same with practice management. So the other thing that is probably obvious, but I should point out, is don't mess around, in my opinion, with having more than one practice management software. I don't think it's a good idea. You will end up paying through the nose for two softwares and you won't be using them to their full potential. So just carefully select, work with a team, talk to account managers who know what they're talking about, and choose one from the beginning that works for you. So this is our alerts, as I say, and this is one of the first places where I feel you can find that kind of hidden revenue. So we can see the kind of unexplained bank transactions, or companies that have an upcoming year end, this kind of thing. And I think this is a really good place where you can spot whether you have any clients that need to be prioritized in a certain way or dealt with in a certain way. And by keeping an eye on them and just having these alerts set up that you're regularly checking, it will allow you to communicate with them better and help them to understand the amount of work that's going into managing their accounts. So that's one of the first places that I think it's really important to find that hidden revenue. And another place that I'll maybe come back to later if we've got time is, as you can see at the top here, we've got our practice portal and we've got our partner resources and our learning and accreditation. We have almost too much information on those pages, which is everything from webinar recordings to marketing resources to email templates. So and that's for, like, if you're a NatWest client and you want to invite clients to FreeAgent, then you can go and grab a template from there and take it so that you can use it to contact clients. So that's another way of kind of finding hidden revenue, is that it's just about working a bit smarter, not harder. And I think that's a really important place to go and look. If you're not sure on something, don't spend. We have a phone support team, but don't necessarily spend what could be billable time waiting around on the phone. Just check the knowledge base, check the practice portal, and that's a really good way of maybe not directly making you money, but it is giving you a lot of time back, and we all know time is money. Margot showed us a lovely overview of Uku, of your overview page. This is our overview page. And what you're going to notice is that with FreeAgent, it's very easy to understand language. So what we see with a lot of clients is that they are able to encourage clients to do their own bookkeeping to a certain extent. Now, you can kind of change their permissions. You don't maybe want them filing their own tax returns, but you can give them permission to do that or not do that from the practice dashboard. So yeah, as I say, it should be really easy to understand, and you can see things like your cash flow from the overview page. We've got add new up here, and that's where you can do all of your invoices. We've got our receipt capture functionality, so you can do all of that directly from here. It's also worth pointing out that almost everything, probably 90% of what your client is going to need from FreeAgent is available via our mobile app. So they don't even need to log into a desktop, and that's completely free as well. We don't charge any extra for that or anything. So I think that that's really nice, and it's partly just about encouraging them to see that as part of their day-to-day as a business owner. So for me, I wake up in the morning and I check my Instagram or I check my emails. That's just what I do as a person, and encouraging them to see this as part of their day-to-day. So they log on, they open their FreeAgent, and they maybe have a look at their profit and loss, or they have a look at their tax timeline. And I believe this is unique to FreeAgent, and it's just going to show them what important dates with regards to their tax they're coming up. So we've got 31st of January, your income tax is due. It's calling that out as in 9 days. VAT return, corporation tax, it's all going to be there. So encouraging your clients to look at that on a regular would be really, really helpful. Now, another point that I'm going to just draw attention to is our radar. Can you see that drop down there, Margot? Yeah, cool. Sometimes the drop down doesn't always show, but you can see that there. So we've got our admin to-do list, and that is another thing that your client can check. And again, this is not directly, maybe it's not more things that you can charge for, but it's more that you can encourage them to do, not so that you're just taking work off yourself, but it's actually just to give them a bit more financial autonomy and become a bit more literate with their own finances. And you can structure your pricing based on how much bookkeeping your client is able to do themselves. And I think I would encourage everyone to do that where possible. Sorry, my TV's just suddenly turned on in the background, if you heard that. Always happens when you're on a webinar, doesn't it? So look, we've got things like chase or close 20 overdue invoices. And this is a really nice just list for you to come in and have a look at. And what can I do today? What do I need to get done? And we've also got our radar here, which is going to be able to show you any new product updates, etc. So I think that's really important for you and your clients to be able to have a look at and understand what's going on in the product that you're using as part of your day-to-day. So that is probably quite a lot of time spent on the overview page. So let's talk a little bit about automation now. And as I say, those kind of tips and tricks there, partly it's dependent on your pricing structure. If you are not offering dynamic pricing in line with how much work your client is able to do themselves, then I would encourage you to consider that, because not every client will be the same. Some would want to go in and do all their own bookkeeping, have you keep an eye on it, and then submit for them at the end of the year. And others will really not want to do anything, and that's fine if that works for you and if it works for them, but set those expectations and ensure that you're charging for your time. And when we think about training a client on this software, it may not be the same with every single one that you go for, but FreeAgent do offer training, so we can take that burden off of you. Our support team is excellent, best in class in my opinion. So we can take that headache off of you. So don't spend, again, billable time training your client on how to use FreeAgent. Let us do it. That's what we're here for. That's how we do our job. Now, automation. So as Margot said, you can pull in some information from FreeAgent to Uku, which is going to ensure we have that one source of truth and ensure everything's kind of linked up. But within FreeAgent as well, we want to make sure that we're kind of up to date with all of our finances. And what we find is that most people kind of spend most time in the banking section of FreeAgent. This is kind of our heartbeat of FreeAgent. Although I say that, but I said that to someone recently and they said, oh, I think the overview page is the heartbeat. So who knows, maybe it's changing. I've been around for too long, but when we look at the banking section, so I would encourage you to enable those bank feeds just to make sure that you've got everything pulling in on an automatic basis. And we talk about AI a lot recently, right? And the truth is we don't advertise that we've got AI built in, but what our AI does do is it's going to look at what you pull in those transactions as, and it's going to say, well, most people categorize Hilton as accommodation and meals. So it's going to want to do that anyway. And if you categorize Hilton as accommodation and meals regularly, then it's going to start doing it on your behalf. Again, it's not it's not like rocket science, it's just allowing that automation to do some work for you. So I would encourage you to look at that as well. And as I say, that's artificial intelligence. I had someone from an AI company recently say to me, oh, the next stage of AI will be being able to look at bank transactions and predict what you're going to categorize it as next. And I said, we've been doing that for like over 5 years or something. We've been doing that for a long time. So yeah, I think those are really important things to do. And we can have a look at these unexplained bank transactions as well. Look at all these network meeting fees. Again, just working smarter, not harder. We're just going to bulk explain these types of things on the right-hand side here. Now, I suppose I'm just pointing it out because you want to choose tools that are going to be able to pull those out for you really clearly. And you want to reduce the amount of unexplained bank transactions that you've got, and also spend less time doing things like training staff or training clients on how to use these. So choose software that makes it really obvious. We use a traffic lighting system, which you can see at the bottom here. So we've got green are explained transactions, red is unexplained, purple is manually added, and that's when you know your client has gone in and tried to mess around with something. And then the orange are marked for approval. It's really just little things, to be honest with you, but one of the best parts of FreeAgent is our ease of use. And I think it just makes it really intuitive for you, your staff, and your clients to be able to look at. So that's another place where you can just kind of speed up processes and become more efficient. Finding new revenue in your business is not always about charging for a new service. Usually it's just about refining your own processes. So that's what you can do here. Excuse me. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about is just where am I going? Settings. So sounds like a bit of a weird one to go to, but if we go to our settings, you can just see, it's not probably the most that you can do in any accounting software, but it's perfect for what we've got here at FreeAgent. And this is where, as Margot said, you can set up your automations, set up your workflows so that they are like tailored to your practice perfectly. And that's really important to spend some time doing. Do not underestimate the time that you will spend onboarding a new software, and the importance of doing your research and making sure that it's set up the way you want. So for your client, that may be things like doing your company logo, or you know, adding things like company details, or when we go to invoicing, we can do, you know, recurring invoices and invoice templates. So I just want to point out that take some time to go in and really dissect this and really investigate what you can do, because the closer to 100% of the softwares you're using that you can use, then the better value for money you're getting. What I see a lot is accountants and bookkeepers coming to us and saying, well, I offer FreeAgent, Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, blah, 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 a bunch of different ones. And that's fine because they just go with what the client wants. However, what it means is they may be using some of FreeAgent. They know it kind of well. They're using most of Xero. They're using a tiny bit of QuickBooks. So they're paying all this money and they're not getting the full use out of their software. And it's just a really easy way of throwing money away, in my opinion. So I would just encourage you to go and have a good look at how you can set it up, what the automations are that are available. Set up your integration, so connect your practice management software to your bookkeeping software. If there's not an integration available, talk to your account manager, and really, really make sure that you are squeezing the most out of the software, because we all know that these things aren't necessarily cheap all the time. So you want to make sure that you're getting value for money. And I think that's me, although I will show very quickly our practice portal, because why not? It's nice to be able to show it. So I don't think you'll be able to see that. Let me just switch to this one. Can you see that now?
Yeah, we can see the practice portal.
Cool. So this is our practice portal, as I say. So we've got all of our kind of recommended content here. We've got plenty of blogs, client reporting, a look back at 2024. An eye-watering amount on making tax digital. If you are concerned about making tax digital, this is the place to go. And some of this is available on our website as well. But a lot of this is exclusive content for partners only. So I would encourage you to go and have a look. And again, when we look at things like getting started, you can do your accreditation, personalize your dashboard. And as I say, not every single software will have as much information there available to you, and that's fine, as long as there are ways of you finding out exactly what it does and making sure that you can make the most out of it, essentially. So I just love to point that out, because we have so much on here that is available for you, even bits for your clients, how to develop good habits for your clients, digitalize them. So I'd encourage you to go and have a scout around to see what you think of it. And yeah, like I say, getting paid more is not necessarily rocket science. It's partly just about where can you tighten up efficiencies. And that's me.
Thank you, Gemma. While you were speaking, I wrote down some notes that I really love that you made some points. So of course, first of all, as you kept saying, automate as much as possible to get the most for your value. Another thing, to ask the support team, book those demos. I mean, you necessarily don't know which practice management software is right for you. You might not even know which accounting software to go with in different cases. Just book those demos, ask the support teams. It's okay that you don't know. You don't have to know how to choose. But if you talk to a few different companies, you're going to start to get a feel. You're going to start to get some idea of who do you want to actually work with? Who understands your processes? Who can automate the most painful parts for your team? So just do book those demos and do talk to the people, because we can help you, and we will tell you honestly if the things that you want to automate we can't do. So just feel free to ask those questions.
I agree. No, I mean, I know for us, part of the reason why it was so easy to work with Uku is because our values align so clearly. And I know that for us at FreeAgent, and I know it's the same for you guys, is that we don't want to have a customer using our software if it's not right for them.
Yep.
If there's stuff that you want it to do that it does not do, there will probably be someone who does it. And if those things are really important to you, you should not try and fit a square peg into a round hole. So yeah, just it's okay to ask, and it's okay to for us not to do things as well. That's not our job. Our job isn't to give you the hard sell and make you unhappy. That's not what we're here for. Thank you so much, and thanks, Margot. I always love having a chat with you. I'm on LinkedIn if anyone has questions about FreeAgent or about the integration, or just wants to have a chat, come and let me know. And yeah, again, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you also, Gemma. Always a pleasure.
Thanks so much. Speak to you soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.